first one. It was such a turning point in cinema in that year. So in hindsight, you know, what do you feel made that film so popular with audiences everywhere?
Well, I think it opened a lid on a world that was invisible at that point in the mid-90s. That was very real, people really identified with and recognised. And Irvine Welsh put a finger on something that nobody was prepared to be brave enough to show in the media. That under this carpet of, you know, sort of conventional drama, the real people were actually enjoying their life. They had a lust for life. They might have been using drugs, but they weren't like completely written off. Like anybody who touched drugs in the media at that point was completely written off as a victim or as a failure or a bad person or criminal, or you know. And so I think that was revolutionary at the time. And that said, these are people too. You know, and they're great fun. They're actually great fun people, which is not untrue to show that. And Irvine could see that was just an invisible, invisible world, and so Danny sort of opened up into the mainstream. You know.
And I think also because, you know, it kind of, I don't think any one thing, you know, it ignites anything really. I think it takes a kind of a group of things that happen in time. And at that time when the first film came out, of course, one of the major things that had happened is that we had been under kind of conservative rule as government, and the new Labour Party had come in, and there seemed to be kind of a whole explosion of like hope, and it kind of gave birth to what was kind of, I don't particularly like the term, but it was the Britpop kind of thing that was happening. So there was, you know, what was British films, British music, British art was bang. It was top of the tree, and we were just very, very fortunate at that time to happen to be involved with something that was kind of right in the centre of that.
It was exploding, yeah.
Yeah. But it was so refreshing also to see those raw characters, and you know, it was kind of very raw acting. I mean, it was something I had never seen before on screen. 20 years on, with all the experience that you guys had since and all the films that you've been in, how did it change a bit the acting exercise, or not? You just went back to how you felt?
It's interesting. It's an interesting question, isn't it? I mean, for me, you know, in the past 8 years, I've been doing an awful lot of American TV. And your technique kind of has to kind of change slightly when you're doing that, you know, because it's all about time and it's about speed, and you have to kind of get there a little bit quicker. And I remember having a conversation with Danny about that midway through the filming of this, and he said myself and Johnny particularly, he said, I can see where you guys have been, you know, and it was interesting for him to see that our technique as his actors had kind of slightly changed. I think the same, you know, the same punch and the same impact hopefully was there, but there was a kind of different way of getting there. And it must have been very interesting for Danny to work with all of us, you know, 20 years later.
Well, for me, watching it, what I came away with the first time I saw this new film was a real pleasure at seeing not just how much the characters had developed over these 20 years, but how the actors had all developed as actors, you know, like carrying those 20 years of experience with them, and I think the performances are just beautiful, you know. I was really moved by, you know, for every character. It's moved by the stories, but also moved by, I know that guy, check that out. See, that's what they're doing is just really, they're all really powerful actors.
I think that's I think it's interesting. It's what can happen, because, you know, like, to use a kind of a soccer or a football analogy, if you put a young football team together, you know, they're going to be, if they're talented, then they're going to get so far. You have that same team 5-6 years down the line, suddenly they're capable of winning trophies. 10 years down the line, they're capable of becoming world champions, you know. Yeah. So in a sense, these 4 actors, 20 years down the line, then you have all that experience together, and it's quite an effective thing to do.
Well, because of the bond of those characters in the first one, everyone would kind of subliminally expect you guys to all stay in touch. And was it like the film, you haven't seen each other in all those years, or everybody did stay in touch? Which one was it?
I think it's a mixture of stuff, because you and Johnny worked together a lot, and me and Ewen worked together a lot. I've done, like, this is my fifth movie with Ewen. And you and Johnny did quite a couple together.
Yeah, but I mean, with us, we hadn't seen each other really.
Yeah, we hadn't seen each other since the rap party
Pretty
20
much.
years ago.
Yeah,
So
same with you,
right,
it's hard to believe. I mean, I've said this so often. Hard to believe that actually happened, because we're really close, you know. We've got great friendship, great bond between us all. You kind of look at each other and think, how is that? That's never going to happen now. We're going to keep in touch this time. I promise.
No, there's real respect and love amongst all our team. You know, we really felt a real privilege to be going into work every day in the studio where we were in Edinburgh.
And knowing that our paths had been somewhat similar since then. You know what I mean? That if anyone could understand me, it would be him.
Right.
Or it would be John, or it would be Ewan. So
Right.
it was interesting to kind of get together and go, how are you doing? How's it been?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, because that's what I spoke with Danny about as well. You would expect this set to be, because everyone's a little bit more Hollywood since then, but it really feel like the essence of what it was 20 years ago stayed. Nobody really came with bigger trailers. I would fight against the notion of me being in any way Hollywood, to be perfectly honest with you. But I didn't get the tape measure out to measure the trailers at all.
I'm getting my new teeth next week and a follicle implant.
He doesn't really look like this.
New jawbone, cleft chin. I'm all paid up now.
Totally.
When this starts returning,
I'm going to let my monobrow grow back in as well.
And finally, the music was such an important element. The first one is such an important element in this one. I mean, everyone's stuck in the past, but you want to be stuck in the past with that kind of music. So how much do you enjoy when you see it, to listen to it, to enjoy it?
I thought the soundtrack last night, I was fascinated for the first time last night, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, the first one was sensational in the time, but it was, I mean, all this stuff is what we in the trade call needle drop, you know. I mean, there's no score really, it's just pieces of music that are added. But in the first one, it felt like that, you know, it was definitely felt like that. But this one, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels like this is like a score that's been assembled specifically for this. You know, obviously you get Radio Gaga, and you get Blondie and stuff like that, and you know that comes from another time. But the kind of more modern pieces of music that are in it, that could have been made specifically
carved especially for, you know.
Definitely.
It feels like they've been the way that the music's been used in place. But the first film was really, it made a massive impact on how it used music and image. You know, that was a large part of its power, was that nobody had really been bold enough or brave enough to approach a film like that. Like Danny and Masahiro Hirikubo, who edited the film, they just had a special understanding of a way to use visual image and music that blew people's minds, you know. for a generation that had grown up on MTV videos and had thought they'd seen everything, you know, that you could do in a music video. It blew people's minds, you know, to see.
Amazing Danny, though, isn't it? Amazing that he finds all this stuff, you know. I mean, he just can do it all, can't he? You know, I mean, he's a fantastic filmmaker, you know, a shot picker, chooser of actors, all these things that he does, which is so amazing, you can see. But on top of that, he's got that kind of ability to go there and listen and go, that's the music. That's superb to be able to do.